Alright guys, in this video I thought I would talk about some of the things that you can do to prepare before you travel or move out to the Philippines while you're still in your home country. Stick around. Alright guys, so just chilling out today. This is kind of like a family day out at the pool. And we ordered some food, and it's just kind of a chill day and relaxing. But I wanted to go over some of the things that you can do that I didn't do that I should have did before you move out here, or even just travel out here for like a month or a couple weeks or whatever. One of those is the metric system. Now, if you're from Europe, this is not a problem, or other parts of the world, because most of the world is on the metric system, really, except for the US. I guess we just couldn't grasp it. I think I heard that at one point we had tried it and switched back. Somebody can fact check me on that. But when I got here, I remember, okay, things like kilometers per hour on my motorbike. I'm thinking, okay, how fast am I really going? Because I was trying to equate it with miles per hour. And things like how much did I weigh. I would get questions about how tall I am, and I had to figure out, okay, I'm 1.76 meters, or I weigh 77 kilos. You know, I had to start figuring these things out because I didn't know, honestly. I had to like start using the Google. Temperature, you know, I was like, gosh, it really feels warm today. I'm like, how warm is it? 32 degrees, and I'm thinking to myself, well, what is that in Fahrenheit? You know, so another struggle that I really had was every time I went to the grocery store, for example, if I wanted to get some hamburger meat, and I was thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, gosh, all right, I got a recipe, I want to make some chili. It calls for 1 pound of hamburger meat, or half a pound of hamburger meat. God, how many grams am I asking for, or kilos am I asking for? And so I'm trying to get a connection in the grocery in the grocery store, trying to figure out just exactly how many grams is in a half a pound or something like that. Or when I would order sliced meat and cheese at the deli, you know, sometimes I would be like, 1 kilo, and I'd get like this huge amount, or I'd order 100 grams and it'd just be a little bit. Not enough. When you decide you're going to come travel, or more importantly, if you're going to live in the Philippines, study up a little bit on the metric system so you know things like scuba diving. Like in my head, I knew like at how many feet I could go and how many feet I could, before you have to do a safety stop, and at how many feet you're supposed to do a safety stop, at what at the correct depth. And I had to like figure all that stuff out, start retraining my brain. And now I really just kind of think in the metric system. Obviously, I still know the other system as well, but it will help you out a lot if you kind of make yourself familiar with it before you move out here. Second thing, take a few minutes and familiarize yourself with the money here. Instead of accidentally handing out 1,000 peso bill and when you meant to hand out 100 peso bill. Familiarize yourself with the currency, what it looks like. Just be familiar with it ahead of time so it's not this big surprise when you withdraw it from the ATM. And I can't tell you, I've done a couple times, I believe. I think I was in a taxi at night, like in my first few months here in Cebu, and I think the amount was supposed to be like 200, and I ended up putting 1,000 and 100 peso note together and giving it to the driver. Of course, he maybe at first glance doesn't even notice himself. He just can tell that it's probably enough. And maybe they're not too honest and they don't want to say anything. And you walk out of the taxi and then you realize you just handed out 1,000 peso note. So be careful with that. Just make yourself familiar with the money as well. Third thing, understand the culture a little bit. Yeah, so I remember when I first got here, I was at a restaurant, literally my first night, and I remember asking the waitress, okay, where is the bathroom? Or familiarize yourself with local terms, like they say the CR, which is the comfort room. And the funny thing is she pointed with her lips. She did like that. And that is the thing in the Philippines here. People use their lips to point. And they are very, very expressive in their faces, even using their eyebrows to answer like yes or no sometimes. Like one eyebrow up is like yes. So be aware of some of these things. And I remember one time being on my motorbike. I was still pretty new here, and there was a traffic enforcer directing traffic. And instead of, like in the US, they tell you to come or to go like this way, they go like this, like down. And so I was like confused. I'm sitting there at the traffic light, and there's cars behind me, and all of a sudden people start honking at me. And then I looked at the traffic enforcer, and he's like more frantically going like this. And I'm realizing, oh, he wants me to go. And because I'm so used to this, and even in the military, they teach all these hand signals for, directing traffic and stop and all this kind of stuff. And here, totally different set of signals on, to go and come and things like that. So be aware of things like, being out at a restaurant and asking for the bill. It is not like, like in the US we go like check, or ask for the check. They may not understand that. So for some reason, this means that means the bill. You want the bill. And they don't really have any time period as far as waiters and waitresses aren't going to run out and bring you a bill. So if you're sitting around waiting for them to bring you a bill, they aren't going to bring you one unless you ask for it. So there's a lot of little things like that you just kind of pick up as you get, once you get here, and you just start to realize, okay, there's different set of rules and different set of cultural norms that you weren't quite used to. But the more you can pick up ahead of time, the better off you are, the less confused you are about what's going on. Also, the way things work at offices and stuff, they have this whole system in place that we just aren't used to, that you have to kind of get used to. Like, often in the West, we're used to going maybe into some kind of office and you grab a ticket, a number, and then that's it. But here, they have all these extra steps, and you just have to kind of figure things out. The best thing to do is when you go into some kind of office. Like yesterday, we picked up our marriage license, our marriage certificate, and it was actually very efficient and very smooth. But I had to know, you go to this information desk, you go to this online form, you fill it out, and you choose the time to pick up your marriage certificate, which happened to be 15 minutes later. And then we went to the window to pay, and then you go and sit down, and then you go to the window that says receiving, and there's just this whole thing that you do that might be a little bit different in your country. All right, guys, so my food just got delivered, and that's kind of a good segue into tipping here in the Philippines. That's totally different than in the West too. In the West, we kind of have like a 15% rule, and here that doesn't really apply. So we got our food here. Real quick, I'll explain the tipping thing here, but tipping, you got to look on the checks. Sometimes they will add a service charge. I've seen it 5%, I've seen it 10%. And usually everyone just splits the tip, the entire staff, kitchen staff, waiters, waitresses, host, all that. They just all split it. I got myself a blue cheese bacon burger. I was craving that. And what you do is, if there's a service charge already, just include just your extra spare change, round it up. With tipping, same thing. You don't really need to tip a whole lot here in the Philippines. Now, another thing you can do, now depending on what area of the Philippines you move to, you can pick up some of the language before you ever get out here. Now, you don't need to learn a lot, because one of the great things about the Philippines, and one of the big reasons that the Philippines draws so many retirees, is the fact that they can speak English well. So, if you do come out here and you are going to go live in the Manila area or the island of Luzon, then you would want to speak the national language, Filipino or Tagalog. Again, you don't need to learn and become fluent. I mean, if you can, that's fantastic, but most of us at a certain age, our brains just aren't working as well anymore. It's harder to learn a language. But just learning a few words, salamat, kumusta, sige sige, maayon buntag, and things like that can go a long ways. And of course, if you're going to be in the Visayas, then learning some Visayan is a great help, because really on an everyday basis they're not going to be speaking the national language, the Filipino. They are going to be speaking Visayan. And if you're in Iloilo, they're going to be speaking Ilonggo, Samar and Leyte, Waray, so just figure out where you're going to end up and just at least pick up a couple dozen words, things as simple as thank you, how are you, and it will go a long way. They appreciate it. Our food just came and I just finished eating, and the girls are eating now. Anyway, things you can do before you move or travel out to the Philippines. You can kind of learn a little bit and better prepare you for when you do step foot in the Philippines. You'll be all that more prepared. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to check out my website, where you will find a lot more information. You can book consultations. You can check out all the gear that I recommend for traveling or living in the Philippines. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.